right, so what are we drinking tonight? White wine?
Yes, it is a lovely Sauvignon Blanc.
For what this episode is about, I would have loved if we could afford pear blossom wine, if you will. That's not even a modern wine. Like that's from a novel. I am going to assume you saw the title and already know what we're going to talk about. We are going to cover why Danmei is here to stay and how they put the dong in Donghua. And
That's beautiful. That's art right there.
So yeah, first of all, just in case, you might be a listener who just decided that they wanted to see what two drunk fangirls get up to in the late night nightcaps. So in case you don't know what Danmei is, Nicole. Oh wait, I should probably introduce us. Wow, we're so good at this. This is Nicole Marie Messina. She is an author and a publishing industry expert. She has worked at some of the greatest, largest, best literary...
Biggest, baddest, bestest.
Shut up.
So, on the other side of the screen,
I see you
on the other side of the table, holding a lovely glass of, what was it again?
Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc is Cristal Marie, a anime influencer, Crunchyroll, Crunchycast host, Beyond the Bot, and Get in the Robot.
But yeah, that's the intro, I guess, as scuffed as it is. Welcome to the Nightcap, where two fangirls have a 2-drink minimum conversation about stuff that happens in pop culture that we just want to talk about.
Yeah, we're still workshopping that, but that's the gist.
With that in mind,
today's episode, Danmei.
For those who don't know, what is it exactly?
Well, according to Chunyu Shan, it originated in 1970s in Japan. Boys love, right? Which, as we all know, is an umbrella term for female-oriented romances between two guys. Normally, you can find them in manga, novels, animation, video games, and fan-produced doujinshi, which is self-published writings and drawings. The staple of this genre is usually that it portrays an idealized same-sex relationship between two dudes that are very, very hot.
You're ad-libbing there.
Two bros.
Two bros.
Hot.
Yeah,
and
bros.
They're like into each other.
They are.
Okay?
They take the bro even more to the other level in Danmei because it's not bros, it's gaga. Two gagas.
Two gaga. Oh, that's great. Two gagas. Wait. So actually, that was for my context. So
but wait, hold on, because I already have an issue with that because
you have an issue with the definition.
Yeah, because the definition I take issue with the idea that it's a female market, or that it's meant to be for the female audience. When
we can discuss that. You can argue that it started out that way and that it is predominantly marketed to a woman identifying market. However, it is complete stereotype and a complete lie that only women consume this. Only straight women consume this. I should make that. Like, a lot of people believe that and they perpetuate this lie, and it is 100% not true.
Well, actually, that's the thing I take issue with. Like, I'm fine with, yeah, sure, it's marketed towards, wow, I got mixed up. What was the word you said? Women?
Women?
No, not women.
It's like, okay, I forgot the word.
Women identifying. That's it. Because if the usual preconception is just that it's for straight women who enjoy hot dudes getting it on.
It's just messy. It's just messy. It's not true.
So Danmei is messy. That's what I'm getting from this. No, I'm kidding. That was your context.
No, that's what I'm saying. So how do we get from there to China? So since BL was born and popularized in Japan, because of the wonderful World Wide Web, helped BL get very popular in other areas, and it went into neighboring countries like China.
Woo!
So now we're in China, and that's where the term Danmei comes from, which uses the same kanji or characters as the Japanese word danbi, a word which means aesthetic, that was often used to refer to media that catered to the tastes of young women, such as BL in Japan did.
Oh, like indulgence in beauty. I had heard that, yeah, that Danmei meant like indulgence in beauty.
Or basically indulgence in the aesthetic. Which is basically the same. It's just like a fancier word.
This is like a term that is very elegant for essentially women be horny for hot people.
Yes, women want to look at pretty men.
The
term.
I see. And that evolved into, hey, turns out everyone wants to look at pretty men.
Absolutely.
After Genshin, it's an everyone thing to me. The era of gacha games has proven to me that we are all indeed a degen planet. Like, we want...
Planet. I'm like, I wonder where she's going with this. Planet it is.
Yeah, it's not planet Earth.
That's
planet
why the
degen.
aliens are not here yet.
Planet degen!
Woo!
Can I tell you something?
Yes, tell me something.
I had no idea that Danmei would make me want to visit China as much as I want to now,
Oh
which
my
is
god.
hilarious.
That is me. I am not gonna lie. I was always scared of going to China because I'm like, it's too big. I'm gonna get lost. I wouldn't know where to start. To be fair, for a very long time, and I'm sorry whoever's listening to this, the only Chinese food that I consumed was PF Chang's. I know it
Wow.
hurt. However, after
So sorry.
Danmei, I'm like, that is real Chinese. You know what? Not even after Danmei. After the Queen of Queens, Wei Wuxian, introduced me to spice, I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna eat all the spice because Wei Wuxian does it. And now I can tolerate a lot of spice. Thank you, Wei Wuxian.
So for context, Wei Wuxian is a popular Danmei character, probably the introduction to Danmei for most
For a
fans of
lot of
Danmei.
consumers, yeah.
Because Modao Zoshi, which is the book that Wei Wuxian is from, written by Mo Shantung, had an adaptation, a live action adaptation that was released on Netflix, The Untamed. That's most of our like Danmei origin stories. I usually that's what I hear whenever I talk to someone who is familiar with Danmei. Like they got their start with Modao Zoshi
Oh yeah.
or the
That is the gateway.
Grandmaster. I find it really ironic that the reason I want to go to China now, like the most, because well, I wanted to go to Japan because I'm a fan of anime. Now I want to go to China because I'm a fan of Danmei. Haha, the fangirl to tourism
True.
pipeline.
Oh, truly. I cannot wait to find the fangirl tour guide.
Is that a thing?
It
Do you
should
imagine?
be. If it's not, don't steal it. I'm totally gonna, brand this and make it a thing.
Stolen by
Oh.
it's me. I'll give you a percent, baby. Don't worry about it. That way you can afford the next nightcap. As I was saying, I find that particularly ironic because China has a very contentious relationship with Danmei media, and I would say pretty boy media in general.
It
Like,
has a violently bad relationship with anything that is considered inappropriate or taboo, which is basically sexuality of any gender. Yeah, I'm like, gonna even go and say, well, no, they're okay with straight porn. Not even that. They're not okay with anything that shows sex.
well, that is true in the sense that, first of all, to anybody who's from China and listening, we know you fuck, okay?
It's
Like,
okay.
we're not assuming that you don't like sex. You're human. We're
No,
human.
we know this is all purely a government thing where
Yeah.
basically they're just banning anything that can be considered sexual content of
Yes.
any sort. So
Yes.
it's
Immoral
bad.
content. We're not gonna touch that today. I just find it ironic that especially China becoming like the place I want to visit because of their queer media. What?
Yeah, it's wild.
It's wild.
Because it's like, can you believe that's something that at least the Chinese government rejects so violently, and that, the consumers have to be so inventive to be able to actually safely enjoy the works, that such a big number of fans from out of China want to go to China to experience the things that they read about. So this is boosting their tourism, but they obviously don't see it that way.
I mean, maybe they do because they're not done. They've put a lot of money into Danmei live action adaptations. There's just this constant like live action adaptations for Danmei properties has gotten such a huge boost since The Untamed to the point that I think the highest budget ever live action adaptation is supposed to be Immortality, which is based on Erha. But unfortunately, even though it was recorded like years ago, it has not been released because at the time when it was going to get distributed, that's exactly when China went hard. I think it's the CCP, yeah, on its policies regarding what was allowed to be promoted or not. And it's a whole thing where guys, we're not gonna get too deep into Chinese politics, okay? This
Yeah,
is a
let's
nightcap.
not.
We're drinking. We're just trying
It's
to.
true. This is the problem. We start out discussing serious business stuff. It's like, this is what we're gonna go with. This is what we're talking. And then it's like, so Wei Wuxian.
Right, like we're semi-informed, but please, if anybody wants to inform us about why exactly things happen the way they do, let us know. We're happy to learn. I just know that they had to basically pause distribution of BL or Danmei across the board for a period of time. And now actually, and in this, at least at the time of this recording in 2023 November, we're seeing a resurgence in Danmei titles coming back into being distributed. But there was the big pause. Oh yes, my God, we've been thirsty and just dehydrated over here.
Just so desperate. But that is why our period of drought is over, because season 2 of Heaven Official's Blessing is blessing our screens right now.
As you can see, Nicole is a fan of Heaven Official's Blessing.
Uh-huh.
Isn't Heaven Official's blessing
Huh?
responsible for popping your like anime figurine cherry?
Okay. So the long,
No,
short
yeah,
story of
I
this.
want the long story of this. Those are expensive. The one you have is
Oh.
expensive.
Let me tell this story. I have never been somebody who buys figurines.
Unlike me,
I
I have a collection.
I just didn't see the appeal. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, what's the point? They're just static there. I guess I never loved a character as much as I've never had that feeling before. And I cannot tell you how it was that I got into Heaven Official's Blessing. I know that I had seen already Modo Sosha, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Lanchan forever. Weibushan is my boo. But I was never driven to buy anything of them.
I have a subscription to Laogan which is basically chili oil, the crispy one. Ever since Wei Wuxian introduced me to chili oil. And I realized that
Exactly.
if you mix rice with beef and you throw chili oil in there and some scallions, holy shit.
Bomb.
My God, it's so good. Add a
It was bomb.
little egg.
Let us, you know what? You're just trying to go to Ghost City and experience the great butcher shops they have there. And I'm like, wow.
You are very knowledgeable about Heaven Official's Blessing. I almost feel
I
like
am obsessed.
you
I am
should be a
obsessed. And it's hilarious because I haven't finished reading the novels yet.
What? Why?
Well, number one, they're very long.
Honest.
Oh, it's like I read a lot. I go through a lot of chapters, a lot of things that are very rough. And as anybody in the publishing industry can tell you, that really messes with your ability to consume content and actually enjoy it. So
Oh, I feel the same way actually, now that you mention it. From an anime
Yeah.
perspective, like I love anime. It's also my job. And yeah, I just know what it's like to get to a point where there's like a piece of media. I'm going to say piece of media because, right, let's say anime or books, where before I could have casually enjoyed it, but now I'm highly critical of it. I only tolerate now watching for pleasure anime I actually really like. And then other anime that don't quite fit that criteria end up being a slog for me to get through because it's 24/7, right?
Well, you know why? Because I think particularly when it comes to anime and manga, which is something that happens to me, I don't know if it happens to you, but before you had a very limited selection of titles you could consume, right? So when you went to, Borders, RIP,
Right.
and you were like, okay, I'm gonna get some manga, it's like it was whatever you could find.
Oh my God, yeah. I
And
would literally buy anything that was even
anything.
remotely like
Yeah, that's why
anime
you got
style.
interesting titles like AA Prime. I still remember that one.
Hey, Moto Hagio is a fucking icon. And I have, you know what, a lot of thoughts about why, like the fact that Moto Hagio hasn't had an actual anime adaptation, while other filmmakers get so many accolades for their original works that explore similar themes that most of them are reminiscent of Moto Hagio, but I'll get into that some other time in another
That's
episode.
another episode. This is a very long story of how I got my first figurine. So whatever. So I was like, okay, I love him. I adore him. I saw them, but Donghua, basically the animated equivalent.
Actually, thank you so much for saying it correctly. I feel like most people who aren't
Look at me.
but you'd be surprised. Most people who aren't like deep into anime fandom don't like necessarily differentiate between animated styles and their names, corresponding names. And even people in anime fandom just look at something and assume always anime. So I'm just so surprised you actually called it what it is. Don't what?
Because I've been embarrassed before.
Oh,
That's
I
how
see.
you
Oh,
learn.
I get it now. I couldn't bully you here. You got bullied before.
Exactly. I remember watching it. I'm like, I love this. This is so beautiful. I got so inspired. I remember that I went into Reddit, the subreddit for Heaven Official's Blessing, and they were all showing off their figurines. I'm like, oh my God, FOMO, I want one. And I don't know what dark corner of the internet I went into to find the pre-sale.
Nicole in deep dark internet trying to look for
I went to the dark web to look for
Danmei
Shirian.
figurines.
To look for my beautiful god, Shirian. And I somehow stumbled upon this magnificent, glorious figurine of the flowering god.
I love that you say the title. God, you're such a fan. You're such a stan.
I'm such a fangirl.
Okay, drink, sip your wine.
I am.
So
So yeah, I basically saw it and I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. It's everything I ever wanted. And then I looked at the price tag and I'm like, oh, my poor wallet. What I did was I did I'm gonna say the compulsive buyer thing and like buy it. No, no, no. I just opened it. I left that tab open along with like 25 other ones.
Oh my God, you're treating it like a temptation. You were like, I'm
like, I'm
put it
gonna
on my
set it
browser.
aside. Oh yeah, I'm gonna set it aside. In 24 hours, I still want it. I'm gonna get it.
I don't want to impulse buy. I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those girls.
Exactly. But I was one of those girls because 10 minutes later, I had no self control and I bought it. And it literally shipped a year later. And when
A
it
year
arrived,
later?
a year later.
You waited a year for your. You know what? I
Girl,
can't say much.
it's a pre-order window.
Oh.
You can't just like go into a store and buy him. No, 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 no. You have to go in there, find the pre-order link, get it, and then wait patiently for him to grace your mailbox. So basically, yes, that's how I popped my cherry. I got my Xie my beautiful flowering god, and there he is.
Okay, but why Xie Lian? Like, most people tend to go for Hua Chang. You went for Xie Lian.
Well, to be fair,
Are you?
I did not find any Hua Chan figurines at that time. Some days later, they did open another pre-sale, but it was like these little chibis of Xie Lian and Hua Chang, and I did buy that one too. I have no self-control, but they're beautiful. And why Xie Lian? I'll be honest, I think it's because I just love him so much.
Okay, fine.
Wait, I need to know. How was your first time?
Oh my God, my first time? You really want to
Yes, tell me about your first time.
Well, that's a segue. No, I was exposed to Danmei for the first time with the OG, the Untamed, Modao Zoshi, Wei Wuxian, Lan Shan, Lang Wanji, Han Guanjun.
No, but I want to know, were you surprised at encountering this like Chinese media? Because I know that you like Japanese stuff, but you're like, China? What is this?
Yes, I do in fact like the Japanese stuff. It was jarring at first because you get used to it when you're watching any media in a foreign language, you get used to the foreign language itself and the cadence of how things are worded, the way that, because I watch subtitles most of the time, but I also like dubs, just in case. This is not a subs versus dubs place.
Drop the Krispy Kreme, Serpico! We need your help here!
My house look like my father and my brother after 9 months or
Yeah, diggity.
So with the Chinese, it was a matter of me feeling that I was consuming media that was similar, but also pronounced so differently to what I was used to that I had to kind of like get to understand and know that cadence. But that was interesting to me because it's like, oh, this feels similar because of the aesthetic, but it's really not. It just distinctly stands out. And then the type of storytelling is also very different. Like I was not well versed yet in Xianxia Wuxia language. Like the
And
only
what is, like, for somebody that doesn't know, how would you describe Xianxia and Wuxia?
So Wuxia is basically like martial arts based fantasy.
So Kung Fu love.
Something like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is the only, I think, film that I can quote that maybe is known for people who might not already consume this media. So it's martial arts based mostly, and it usually has a hero who goes through the process of mastering their specific martial arts, usually kung fu, but other styles also exist. And yeah, so it's a hero's journey. It's very much the traditional, I guess in a sense, like sort of the same formula I see for shonen anime, right? Again, I quote this because that's what I'm familiar with. But yeah. And Xianxia would be like high fantasy based on Chinese mythologies and based on, imagine
Chinese
Lord of
belief.
the Rings, but with Chinese mythology, not like Northern European based mythology, which is where I think like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that makes me think of everything like Odin or like, you know, just what's that called? The Viking place. I'm sorry.
The Viking place?
Yes.
Yoo-hoo!
Where do Vikings come from? Shut up.
Finland?
Finland? No, is that
Sweden?
Sweden? Where are Vikings from? Norse mythology.
Okay, Scandinavia.
Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology. These are the mythologies that I feel the Western world has kind of adopted the most. When it comes to anime, suddenly there's this big kind of portal that's open mostly for fans of the media that goes beyond the usual Western kind of adaptations that focuses on like geishas or samurai. That's it. That's like Japan media, geisha, samurai. With anime, it's become more about like all the folklore regarding Japan, like yokai or, you know, just konbinis because slice of life. And I love a good curry croquette or kare koroke. But yeah, with China, I had no idea what their local mythology was like or what their folklore was like. And it's so completely different. Like the idea of cultivation novels or golden cauldrons. The fact that
Ascensions,
I didn't understand why one character had 3 names, you know? Like that was the first thing that when I saw the Untamed, I was like, okay, who is he? Lanchan? Langwanji? Hangwanjin?
Hangwanjun?
I didn't know. I didn't understand
All
it.
of the above.
Exactly. He's all of these.
The Coons is me.
Like that was something I had to research. And once I realized that I was having to research my media, maybe I'm a nerd in that sense, but that's when I got really interested because it didn't feel like brain dead watching. It felt like I am heavily invested.
You felt, I guess, like another world opening up for you.
Illuminated.
Exactly.
Because
You're like,
I
this is
love
cool.
learning new cultures and the idea that I somehow wasn't familiar at all with this entire mythology. I really took it upon myself as a mission to just kind of binge it. And now I'm very, very well versed in Xianxia, especially whether Danmei or otherwise. Like, hello, feed me that Ashes of Love. Actually, don't please. I have words about Ashes
Oh
of
my
Love.
goodness. I jumped ship so quick on that.
What if I told you that the second lead
that it comes with knives? What?
No, that the second lead of Ashes of Love is
I know where you're going with
the
this.
actor that got cast as
My king.
Yeah,
My tree branch.
Chu Wanning.
I mean, I will. If that ever gets out of the vault, I will watch it immediately.
For those who might not know, Chu Wanning is from Erha. Immortality is the live action adaptation.
That we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. And so I feel like that might be the next figurine that you buy if they make one available of Chu Wanning.
My God. Do you imagine?
You really like your shows.
I love my shows. I love my gongs too, to be fair.
Oh, right. You asked me what was my first figurine. Oh, Lobinghe.
Oh my God, that's true.
I am
cute.
I am a problematic fave lover.
No, girl, you are a Luo Binghe apologist through and through.
100%. And Natasha and Junwan, come at me. All my blorbos.
All blorbos welcomed.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, what would happen if they made like a multiverse Danmei gacha game? Would you pull?
Oh my God. I cannot explain to you my expression right now. Like my jaw slack, my eyes wide, my cheeks flushed, my gaze confused. Like, what do you mean? What would I do? What would I do?
If you could only pull one 5-star Danmei character, who would it be?
Ooh.
I know you have a Xianliang figurine, so I feel like I almost know the answer to this question. But then again, there's other contenders that I know are very strong if that's your style.
Honestly, I'll be very honest with you. The minute I heard that question, there was only one person that popped into my brain, and I am surprised at who it was, because I think you would not believe me. The first and only unit, the absolute unit.
No way.
Moran.
No way. I don't believe you. You're lying.
I was like, that's what I would pull.
What?
Listen, Moran is the only gong that I know of that can literally divide universes, split the cosmos.
With
to
his
find
absolute
his
unit?
man. The absolute unit. Yep.
He will definitely split anything with that absolute
Absolutely.
unit.
He will.
To those of you who don't know, and I don't know how you would not know, because this is one of the biggest titles in Danmei, but Moran is part of...
No. Correct yourself. The biggest, the problematicest.
The problematicest.
And I think that Moran would be the top. I swear, this is the one.
But wait.
He would be unga bungaing all over my account.
But wait, would it be Moran as Moran, like Tashan Jun?
No, Tashan Jun. Tashan Degenerate Jun. That's
my blorbo. Don't you dare. But here's the thing. What if Moran and Tashan Jun were two completely different units? Which technically they are at one point.
They are. But I would pull the Tashan Jun. Moran 1.0.
You want Moran 1.0? That's what?
Or is it 0.5? Which one is it, the crazy one?
I really hope whoever has never read The Dumb Husky and his White Kashizun picks it up because of this. Literally just
they're like, what the hell are they talking? No. If you do, all the trigger warnings in existence.
Yes, know that.
Seriously? So yeah, that's why I would go. Who would you go?
I would go. Are you Lobinghe?
You see, I am not surprised.
Why would you be surprised?
Wait, which version of Lobinghe?
No, Bing Mei.
Bing Mei?
Listen, I like Bing Ge only for AO3 content, but Bing Mei is my Mei. It's my bae.
Sponsor me.
Bing Mei. What? You're outclassing me in your thirst for collabs.
Anyway, so Bing Mei.
Bing Mei is my hoe. Bing Mei is my bae.
Bing Mei is my Mei.
Bing Mei is my main, actually. I love him. I think Scum Villain Self-Saving System, first of all, if you've never seen the Donghua, most people maybe don't.
Please do. It's on Viki.
Wow.
It's so good.
Okay.
You
Yes.
forgive the animation at the beginning. It's
Mhm.
a little clunky.
A little
and
uncanny
that's me
valley.
being generous.
Yeah, so it's 3D rendered. So that's why most people get turned off by it. I wish it had been 2D, but I eventually got used to the 3D rendering and it doesn't matter because it's hilarious.
It's so fun, and the voice acting is on point. You
Yes.
trust us. You will not regret it if you take the time to sit through that first episode. Not even the 3-episode rule. That's bullshit.
There's no way. It cuts off so fast in the first episode. You have to
But
see
you-
episodes 1 and 2.
You can see all of them. That's the point.
Yeah, so Lo Bing-he would be my main. I would max out the heck out of Lo Bing-he. I love
Oh,
my
yes.
crying demon god king. And
As you should.
my beautiful princess slash psychopath.
Your Moobalicious princess. Bing
Yes.
Mei.
Bing Mei. Which
Amazing hair.
Which now I'm realizing, like, you picked Moran, I picked Lo Bing-he. Who has the biggest dong in Donghua?
I mean, who can beat the absolute unit that is Moran?
Bing-he.
Mm.
Canonically written to be the most monstrous of all dongs.
Well, if it's on paper, it must be true.
You know, that's funny because some authors, Danmei authors, have actually revealed exactly how many centimeters each of their characters
I almost
have.
spit out my wine. Oh my god!
But this is true. Meepum revealed
No.
it's 28 centimeters for Moran.
So hospital.
So serious question. I did want to know because I'm coming from my perspective as someone who is experiencing the crossover from being considered more of a subculture and a niche to slowly kind of clawing its way into potentially mainstream. Because right now, Heaven Official's Blessing is, I believe at the time of this recording, number 3 on my anime list ranking, which is not something you would expect of this type of title, especially in anime. Although this is a donghua, but it's being categorized in the same like vein of just animated property from East Asia, let's say. The fact that it's currently being distributed by Crunchyroll, it's currently being distributed also by Netflix. Like this is not something so common. We don't usually get donghua in Western distribution platforms. As it is, there's a lot to do with localization when it comes to Japanese properties. Imagine with China, which is not quite as common already, and there aren't as many distribution pathways, let's say, that are as like established. I have an impression about what's going on from my industry's POV, but when it comes to your industry, the publishing industry, it's very recently that 7 Seas got the license for these books, and they became New York Times bestsellers.
It was such a, I'm going to say, a cultural revolution that Heaven Official's Blessing even made it to Barnes & Noble gift cards. And they were selling out because people were buying them for collectibles' sake. So it's like, I really think that 7 Seas, even though I have my feelings, trademark around them.
I mean, you can express yourself if you want. I don't know.
I think they were very smart in a marketing sense that they jumped into this untapped market in the translation world. These are works that were being widely consumed online that were basically done with fan translations. That's how people could read them. And they were incredibly popular.
Not only that, it felt like a miracle. Like at the time, we did not have a single like Western translation, official Western translation of these novels. And especially considering the shutdowns and the fact that some Danmei authors have even been put in jail just for writing Danmei.
Oh, yeah. No, but even like, I think it was 2011 or so that China cracked down so severely on Danmei authors that they jailed like 32 of them.
32 authors were jailed.
Yeah.
Right. For writing.
Because they wrote Danmei online. Like Danmei does not have any physical presence in China. Like they're not allowed to be printed or published that way. It's all online. And these communities have popped up where basically you have to even gain access to them by filling out a quiz where they test you, see if you know knowledge of Danmei, and that's how you can join them.
So basically, very, very, very hard to join membership Wattpad.
Yeah. I would say hard to join membership AO3s or something like.
And even then, 32 authors got jailed just because pretty boys getting it on.
Yeah, I think it's more the fact that after those persecutions happened, that those communities became even more careful with how they allowed people in. And I don't blame them.
Of course not.
Obviously, you want to protect your creators. And it's just fascinating to me that all this horrible history is behind this like people can't even consume it freely. And then Seven Seas comes in and it's like, yeah, we're gonna publish all your Danmei. We're so happy. Give us your money. And those first editions, which I have, are like, ooh, some of those are rough.
Do you see how you mentioned that they cracked down so hard? My biggest fear when it came to Danmei novels is that they were going to be lost forever at some point because they're on online work and they could just be
Yes.
deleted.
Yes, this is why people like even with fanfics on AO3, I've seen a lot of people take these novels and print them out and bind them so they don't lose them.
Yeah.
So there's like it's such an interesting, I think, reflection of how the big media companies are completely disconnected from the market because what people really want is physical media.
Oh.
And everyone is pivoting away from it.
Oh, you're saying
Ex-
physical.
Yeah.
You wanna get physical.
So I really want these works to be everything they deserve to be. They deserve good translations. But so far, I'm very happy that they exist. I'm happy that they're commissioning artists. I think they're finally paying them.
All the
but
time. They did have to unionize, right?
I believe so, yeah. I don't remember the name, but I'm glad they did. I think it's like the
I
unionized.
mean, they were pressured. I saw there was a lot of like stuff on Twitter.
They pressured Seven Seas because they did not want to let them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we support the union. Yeah, United Workers of Seven Seas. There you go.
Yeah.
We support unions over here. But I am very glad that they are here to protect the workers and protect the staff because it's because of them that we have these works here and that we have these covers and these special editions in Barnes and Noble that I have to kill myself to get.
Interesting point because what you're saying is one of many reasons why Danmei is here to stay. The fact that a publisher had to unionize. The level of fandom is so high that it was able to pressure through social media a publisher to have to acquiesce. When we're going through writer strikes across the board constantly, and studios can still feel that they're in a position where they can just bully writers, like considering that this is something that just happened and it happened so fast with Seven Seas,
Yeah,
I think goes to
having you know
show.
how quickly they're like churning them out. It's terrifying for publishing standards, which like runs by an abacus. Like it's so fucking slow.
Say less.
It's like whoa.
That this is one of the reasons why Danmei is here to stay. The fact that it's had the impact it's had in the publishing industry. It literally
Absolutely.
took over multiple volumes of multiple series, some of them from the same author, Moshenton Sho. Bestseller list, New York Times.
Bestseller list. Yes, I was so happy whenever I saw them there. Oh my goodness, it was so exciting.
Did that have any repercussions on like from where you were standing? Like, did you ever see like buzz around that or conversation around that? Because I feel like that would have been unexpected or like out of left field. I don't know if the publishing industry had ever discussed Danmei, because Seven Seas as a publisher has always catered to, well, an anime audience, and this is anime adjacent, right?
It's hard to say, I'll be honest, because the way I see it, I think the publishing industry was surprised that it literally made like Heaven Official's Blessing hit the New York Times bestseller list at number 5 for paperback trade fiction, which is amazing. That is the dream of many a publisher to have like their work break into the list. And it's like, wait, this is probably something we need to pay attention to and actually give resources.
I mean, I will say this, maybe Seven Seas is not the best publisher for like this series or these series, or but they're the ones that capitalized on the market.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, the publishing industry wasn't even paying attention to this trend. Like the Untamed was a phenomenal hit. It made so much money, and I was so surprised. And I kept bringing this up actually, and now from my end, like producers on like content regarding or marketing or anything to do with like every company I've worked with Frederator, I've worked with Crunchyroll, I've worked with all these companies, but also independently. Like Beyond the Bot was an independent channel, and I remember bringing it up constantly with like producers or some of the like staff. Like, why are we not talking more about Danmei and the impact that it has? And I remember I spoke about Danmei before it even became New York Times bestseller, like before it was adapted, before it was brought in, before the Donghua were like simulcast on Funimation at the time. And it was just like, I feel like there was this glaze in most people's eyes regarding why this was a thing. Fangirl media is never considered a thing. It makes a ton of money. It's kind of like the romance industry, like in publishing.
That it makes gazillions, millions, billions of dollars, and it's still one of those like poo-poo genres. Do not even get me started.
That will be another episode, but yeah.
Yep, that's gonna be another episode. Yes.
But actually, there is a lot of big dick energy in what Danmei has done in media, because if I think about it from where I work and what's getting adapted and what's getting like greenlit for stuff like live action adaptations, or like recently we got One Piece as a live action adaptation. We got Cowboy Bebop, and it feels like
it broke the curse.
it did. No, One Piece broke the curse.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop tried real hard. It was like it set itself up. It set One Piece up. But it feels like streaming services, big names, right, are now finally catching up with anime. Like anime is still considered niche. I'm so surprised. But it's catching up with it and starting to really put budget into it. Meanwhile, in China, again, highest budget went to a Danmei live action adaptation, Immortality from Mi Bun. A part of me fantasizes about a day because in China, there's only so much that you can bring into a live action adaptation that is faithful to the novel, obviously, due to censorship.
Censorship.
And I'm not going to talk about censorship. I made a whole video about that in a Beyond the Bob video. I'll link it in the description. For those of you who are just listening to this, know that if you go to youtube.com/@thehollowtv, wink, wink, you can find it. I spoke about censorship there, but essentially one of my fantasies was what would happen if somebody actually did a faithful adaptation, like at the level of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Well, actually, I shouldn't say Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure George R. R. Martin doesn't like the ending.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So wait, what were we talking about?
Danmei.
We were talking about my fantasies. I would love to see what a faithful adaptation of a Danmei would be like, because I really think that, as it usually happens, not only with Danmei, but also in general, josei, shoujo media, anything that caters to not the straight dude bro, oh my god, I love the titties gaze, tends to get sanitized the most, as if women aren't horny. So
God forbid.
My fantasy is,
we want more good adaptation.
I would like a faithful adaptation. Like, what would that look like? And I know that's never going to happen in China. Or if it does, I'd be so surprised. I'd be so wowed. That would be incredible. But I don't think...
Not for now, anyway.
I don't think China will ever take a Danmei title and create the version of that Danmei that is Game of Thrones adjacent, or literally any of the prestige adaptations or prestige shows adjacent. Succession. Just shows that are meant to be consumed by adults and therefore do not have to sanitize themselves or censor themselves. It's just, yeah, we adults are watching them and we'd like to see the context, the bloody battles, the fucking, everybody's like doing.
But that's the thing.
You know,
I don't think it's because it's being censored because of children. It's literally just governments trying to clamp down on people freely expressing themselves sexually, and how it just doesn't fit with their desire of control.
Right. I forget sex is so bad. Like, can you imagine if humanity was
every type of sex?
I want to say, do you imagine if humanity was allowed to have sex?
Do you imagine? What would that be like?
What do you mean, people?
A noble universe.
Not on this planet. No, they don't. But yeah, anyway, so just to wrap things up, I guess, because we've wasted people's time enough.
This is not a waste of time. They've been enlightened by giggles, conversation.
Why do you believe Danmei is here to stay now that we've spoken about, at least from your perspective, from publishing industry, but also as yourself, like as a fangirl?
Why do I think it's here to stay? Because it lets people explore a facet of themselves that a lot of times, especially because the world right now is such a dark, dreary, sad place.
It was happy at one point.
I'm thinking that what really helps with Danmei, particularly for example with Heaven Official's Blessing, is that it has this
plug your fave. Tell everyone to worship.
Forever plugged.
Worship Xie Lian.
I think it's the fact that it blends a lot of things that people respond to and they want. They want escapism, they want romance, and they want mystery. And this particular series, and I think Danmei really does a good job at all these things. Like, it allows you to transport yourself into a setting that you can learn about these cultures and these things. Like, I had no idea that traveling by sword was a thing.
Oh my god!
And it is now my favorite thing. Whenever I see that in any Danmei, I'm like, I am here. Give me the swords. Give me the Ubers.
Tell us you like Liuber with us.
I love Liuber. I love Liuber. So yeah,
Liuchinga, for those who are not in the know, from
that's why you need to watch
Scum Villain. Again, watch
on
it.
Viki.
We're here to promote Viki.
And also, okay. I just think it's here to stay because it really gives people what they want.
Why I believe Danmei is here to stay is, well, money. I'm going to break down something for you. And for everybody who's listening and viewing and maybe does not know this, some of you might, because if you're Danmei hosts like us, you probably researched this just to prove a point. Danmei makes so much money, but like romance, and this is why I like to bring it up, and we're probably going to cover this in another episode, but like the romance industry and publishing, the most money is made from romance, but nobody wants to pay attention to it, adapt it, deal with it, talk about it, right? In a similar fashion, Danmei, I'm just gonna talk about one property, The Untamed, one of the highest earning dramas of 2019. Just VIP members of Tencent, which were allowed to watch the final episode of the show in advance, garnered around 2.6 million new subscribers just to allow that function to unlock. Just for the final episodes of the show to be able to watch them in advance, 2.6 million subscribers unlocked the function by paying, generating around $10 million, 700,000 or more million in profit. More than 1.6 million copies of the soundtrack album were sold on Tencent Music. A single merchandise store opened in Taobao where official merchandise was sold, and it made around 100,000 in a day. Other source earnings included paying to unlock the full music video for the theme song of the show itself, and the Bazaar magazine interview featuring both of them as lead actors sold around 330,000 copies within 3 days, and then it exceeded around 1.1 million copies. We're talking a magazine here. For the fan meetings, a special system was introduced by Tencent where VIP members have to accumulate star points to get a better chance to get tickets to the fan meetings and concerts. That garnered around 3.27 million viewers that pay between $4 to $7 to view the live broadcast of the Untamed National Style Concert on Tencent Video. That was one event, which totaled, I think, a ballpark of $13 to $22 million for a single event. Tickets of the concert were sold out in less than 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
And leftover tickets were eventually marked up to around $20,000 by ticket scalpers, which fuck scalpers, but
$20,000?
$20,000.
Yeah, fuck scalpers.
Dollars.
Fuck Ticketmaster.
$20,000. Let it sink in that this was also before Danmei kind of did its Hallyu moment, which I don't even think it has. It's like on its way. So this was The Untamed, which was like the solo first banner waving Danmei title to get into Netflix. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, already Danmei and a bunch of like other properties were doing well in China, but the fact that it eventually went global to this level, like we're talking global audiences joined in on Tencent to cause a 250% growth, 1 million application downloads per month, global, not local. And then it all got licensed to 7 Seas and went into top 10 New York Times bestseller. Every single one of these books. Every single one has broken into the top 10, and not just Modao Zoshi, but like the entire Moshan Tongshou universe, and that includes
the
also
multiverse.
the Moshan Tongshouverse. It first of all, it baffles me that we treat Danmei as a niche thing now that it's had these types of results. But then again, I realize that anime is treated that way, and it's anime, and we have like Uniqlo collabs, but people still think it's niche, so never mind. This is just me breaking down not even a title over its lifespan, but a property over like maybe a marketing window of a couple of days. It ain't going nowhere.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What I hope.
It's here to stay.
It's here to stay. This makes so much money at the end of the day. And for once, if anything, the biggest threat is that the audience is not the aspirational audience that most media companies want. That's it.
Yeah.
As a fangirl, I would be excited to kind of just continue to see it grow, but I would love to see if it manages to get like a faithful adaptation at any point. So yeah, with that in mind, anything else you'd like to add before we get our refill and end the episode?
Support Danmei Works. Go to Viki. Go to Crunchyroll.
We are not sponsored by Viki, by the way.
I hate Netflix, but you know, they're there again.
Anyways. Yeah, so let us know what you think. Like, do you think that Danmei is here to stay, or do you have any arguments against it?
Not that I want to hear it, but fine.
You can find us at The Hollow, which is a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thehollowtv. We are
also on social media.
And on social media, we are not that big yet, so you actually have to like type this in. That's why I'm trying to be very precise. If you're listening to this now, you know there is a visual aspect to this entire conversation. So yes, make sure to do that. And if you have any questions for us or want to talk to us on social media, be sure to use the hashtag #TheNightcap and hashtag #TheHollowTV, both combined. Otherwise, other people will just think the Nightcap is like, I don't know.
It is what it is. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Wow. Thanks for having a drink with us.
Yeah, cheers.
And see you on the next one. Cheers. Cheers.